morning to you and welcome to the Break of Dawn Papers Review on 32 FM 94.9, your latter station. It's the 19th of October 2023. We bring you the headlines. My name is DENIKE.
And my name is Kenny Durutilu. I have the Premium Times, the Daily Trust, the Guardian newspaper. We'll take some of the headlines coming out of the papers now.
We start off with the Punch newspaper. Our first story, China to fund PH Maduguri Abuja Kano rails. And away from that story, anti-graft war should start from National Assembly, EFCC chair. Akpabio meets Tinubu, dismisses crisis in Senate. To the major story on the front page of the Punch, contributory pension. NLC retirees lament as 26 states fail to join scheme. And there are two riders to that story. Lagos, 5 others in full compliance. Contributory pension scheme inevitable, says PENCON. Withholding pension immoral, says NLC. Retirement now death sentence. Retirees kick. And some more stories. Gaza hospital attacks. SPAC's protest. Biden, Israel blame terror group. Ondo Assembly asks Ayedatiwa to withdraw suit. Extortion, police remove DPO, try others after Punch report. And that's on the red corner of the Punch. And another story here, EFCC quizzes Oyo kingmakers over bribery allegations. We move on to some more stories on the Punch newspaper. Ondo crisis revives debate on deputy governor's specific roles, Akeredolu ex-aide. Work begins on $100 million Lagos Film City. And two more stories before we move on to another paper. Oshun vows to treat unregistered tricycle owners as criminals. And finally, House of Representative members serve their pockets.
Headlines out of the Guardian newspaper now. INEC's credibility sinks as 94% contested post await tribunal. That's a major story. Tinubu begins 1.125 trillion naira conditional cash transfers to 15 million households. Opera in Senate as Akpabio and Dume face-off gets messier. CSO seeks rescue of abducted Zamfara varsity students. In business, 53% of employees in Meta region fear spying from drones. Elsewhere, flooding Lagos asks residents of downstream Ogun River to relocate. ENT'L urges Akwa Ibom monarchs to embrace peace. Federal government partners firm to electrify 15 communities in Kogi, Nasarawa, Niger. iCenter organizes contest to mark anniversary. Elsewhere, in the pages of the Guardian newspaper, you find this one on the foreign scene. Biden lands in Israel after Gaza hospital strike kills hundreds. And lastly, from the Guardian this morning, federal government proposes 26 trillion naira as the 2024 budget and more.
Some stories out of the nation. Uni-lawyering female students commit suicide over alleged debt. We won't allow hooliganism. IG warns politicians, others. Ashira replaces Umai as Senate deputy leader. That's from the Nation newspaper. Of course, insecurity. 2024 budget to include tech measures, says Alake. Wike, I have no grounds against Islam. Federal government cautions on abuse of social media. Why I walked out of Senate plenary by Indume. And some more stories here says more Chinese funding for rail power other projects. Amotekun battles surging crimes in Southwest. Senate not boiling, says Akpabio. Minister, why new federal varsities can take off same time. EFCC chair 2.9 trillion naira lost to contract procurement scam. ICPC recovered 655 billion naira cash assets in 4 years. Tinubu will deliver with patience, Allah assures. And the Lagos $100 million film city will create jobs, says Sonwolu. Tinubu directs phased takeoff for varsities approved by last administrations. And finally, from the Nation newspaper, Tinubu pledges increased funding to solid mineral sector.
Some headlines from the Daily Trust now. How prophetess was raped inside Ogun Church. Or the thief knows who stole the item. Babache Lawal insists Obi defeated Tinubu. A few words on mental health as a piece there. Make food available, affordable is another one. Between the sisters raping teachers of Gombe and the vulnerability of minors. More headlines here. First-class monarch by also government trade blame over 28,000 naira monthly allowance. Anti-corruption fight. Don't use me as example. Pabio tells EFCC chair. Bielsa Road, you can't take credit for Dixon's efforts. Silva tells Governor Diri. Israeli forces kill 3,308 Palestinians is another headline there. Some more. NIPO's trained staff on agent banking. Shiites kick over bombing of Gaza hospital. APC lacks reward system for party faithful. DG APC support groups. And a couple more. Senate confirms. Okay. That's a still one. I'll take this last one. Ricciardo to return from injury at USGP.
Vanguard newspaper, first page, and says parents protest as Unilag asks students to resume with mattresses. Abuja plots revocation order, which extends deadline for mosques, churches. Can GNI disagree with Baba Chair for labeling APC Islamic Party? NNPCL appoints Shonair as Chief Corporate Communications Officer. Enugu's Governorship Election Tribunal verdict, a travesty of justice. Labour Party. Pandef demands justice for artisanal refineries in the Niger Delta. And some more stories out of the Vanguard. Nigeria leverages on ties with China to improve digital space, according to Shetima. Why I refused linking up with Davido in 2019. Odumodu Black, that's from the Entertainment Corner. Federal government defers outset of new approved universities. Renowned historian Falola advocates values over political restructuring. And we take some more from the Vanguard newspaper. Israel-Gaza crisis. U.S. vetoes Security Council resolution on ceasefire. Tinubu will throw out ministers who fail to perform in 6 months. Smart Adeyemi. And finally, British woman sentenced to death for murdering husband over £2 million.
All right, headlines out of the Premium Times now. Nigeria lost 2.9 trillion naira through contract fraud in 3 years. Again, Israel-Gaza war divides Security Council. Bandits poachers take over Yankari Game Reserve as Bauchi government neglects eco-tourism fortunes. Senate confirms Olukoide as EFCC chairman, Hamad Joda as secretary. Israel denies responsibility of fatal hospital attacks as survivor church contradict claims. Senate announces changes in leadership positions. Israel-Gaza crisis, U.S. envoy calls for inquiry into hospital strike. Climate change, Nemo Bassi, Henshaw, others advocate cultural preservation. Storytelling for social impacts. Displaced persons, governor approves construction of housing units. Adamawa senator sacked by appeal court begs Akpabio for forgiveness. Tinubu, government postpones kickoff of federal universities approved by Buhari. Vehicle recovery, court throws out autumn suit against Benue governor Aliyah. APC chairman in trouble for allegedly raping, impregnating teenage housemaid. Court discharges journalists accused of insulting ex-minister. Those are some of the stories out of the Premium Times newspaper this morning. We take some commercials. When we come back, we'll be delving into the analysis. Stay with us.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Guy, if I tell you see all this plenty airtime and data, where they take flex? Now dash glow dash me, you go believe.
Dash get for this kind of economy. I beg you.
Dey there now, as I buy my glow sim like this, spirit, I first collect 1,000 naira welcome bonus, Sarah. As I come recharge, bam, glow knock me 10 times airtime bonus. I also enjoy double data. Join.
Wait, oh, you mean 1,000 naira welcome bonus?
Yes.
Plus 10 times airtime bonus.
Yes.
Plus double data again?
Yes,
But
now.
for which universe now?
The glow break the universe now. You want try?
Oh, mo, no wonder boys they flex anyhow on top phone 247 non-stop. I talk am.
My people, not let grass grow under your Lego. Go get your Glow SIM today. Dial star 777 hash to buy and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus plus up to double data. Offer day for both new and existing subscribers. Them.
Unlimited.
ogun àtọ́pẹ́ kó máa jẹ́ tolúwa lórí òkè ìyanu ìlara ẹ̀pẹ́ ọdọọdún ni annual marathon miracle festival programs máa ń wáyé ọjọ́ mẹ́ta gbáko pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan ètò lórí òkè ìyanu ìlara ẹ̀pẹ́ láti gbólúwaga àkòrí glory to glory 2023 lábẹ́ àkóso bishop and prophetess lucas tolúwa ń lò ní sáwa 25 26 27 october 2023 lọ́jọ́ àkọ́kọ́ ẹ pàdé prophet sam ojo prophet fẹ́mi òní prophet taiwo ojo níbi tí àdúrà túnde yóò ti máa rọ̀jò wọ̀wọ̀ mẹ́wàá àárọ̀ dago mẹ́wàá alẹ́ lọ́jọ́ kejì evangelist tọ́pẹ́ alábí evangelist ebenezer obe pastor adélakùn ayẹwa Danre Melody Chigozi Wisdom Adegbodu Twin Danre Justify Remilekun Amos Elijah Akíntúndé Ọlọ́run ò sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ aago mẹ́wàá àárọ̀ sago mẹ́wàá alẹ́ mọ́jọ́ kẹta àṣekágbá ló gbé gbogbo ẹ̀rù October 28 2023 Rose Love Foundation Empowerment 2023 níbi tí gbogbo ẹni tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó fún ti gba òbítíbitì ẹ̀bùn pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan olórin ẹ̀mí ọ̀rọ̀ tìǹlẹ́nu Lanre Da Silva àti Dr. Ọlọ́ládé Valentine Màmá Olúṣọlá Ọbaṣálá alága.
Telephone 07059458718.
Ìpàdé di Mountain of Miracle Ìlara Ẹ̀pẹ́ àmọ́ retí yín o olùgbàlejò àgbà Bishop and Prophetess Lucas.
mọ́mì wa ṣáwọn ọmọ yín fẹ́ràn mílíkì ṣe é fẹ́ gbọ́ Milo Active Go ní mílíkì ìdá 20 tàbí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ló ń bẹ nínú Milo fún àwọn ọmọ yín tí ẹ bá sì fẹ́ kí ó ṣe yọ̀yọ̀yọ̀ sí ẹ lè po mílíkì mọ́ ọ sí Milo okun láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Connection is very important, especially when it's strong, and you don't realize this until you are cut off. Keep your connection strong at home or on the go with INT'L Home Broadband Internet. Get any of our devices like the 7500 MiFi or the 10,000 router with instant 30 gigabytes or the 20,000 router with instant 100 gigabytes. Hurry to the nearest INT'L shop or visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
INT'L, a reason to imagine.
The word is out. From the glistening beaches to the glamorous city streets. The Real Housewives of Lagos Season 2 is here. Your favorites, Chioma, Iyabo, Laura, Mariam, and Toyin, return to bring you even more charm, style, and drama. While Faith and Tanya join Eko's elite and add some extra spice. Subscribe from 1,200 Naira monthly. Sign up now at showmax.com.
Give malaria a double punch of artesunate and amodiaquin, an effective combination that Camosunate. Camosunate is anti-malaria therapy. Camosunate, and you will bounce back to life. Camosunate comes in 4 different parts for different age groups. Below 1 year, 1 to 6 years, 7 to 13 years, 14 and above. Camosunate.
Camosunate, effective anti-malaria for all ages. Marketed by Janet Pharmaceuticals Limited.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read the leaflet inside.
Asalaamu alaikum gbogbo Mùsùlùmí. Ilẹ̀kùn Umura December tún ti ṣí sílẹ̀ láti kọ́ wọ́n ní pẹ̀lú Alhaji Sheikh Muhyiddin Ajani Bello. Ogúnjọ́ oṣù kejìlá ọdún 2023 lágbéra. Káàsì padà lọ́jọ́ kẹta oṣù kìíní ọdún 2024. Ọjọ́ mẹ́rin ní Medina, ọjọ́ mẹ́jọ ní Mecca. Àpapọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ ìrọ̀rùn ló bá dé. Ilé-iṣẹ́ alálùbáríkà Aljana Hajj and Umrah Service Nigeria Limited ló ń pẹ́ gbogbo wa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bákan náà, àǹfààní ti ṣí sílẹ̀ láti tètè máa fọwọ́ sílẹ̀ àti láti máa sanwó díẹ̀díẹ̀ fún Umrah Ramadan àti Hajj 2024. Ilé-ìgbé ìrọ̀rùn tí ò jìnnà sí Haram àti Mọ́ṣáláṣí Ànábì Mádínà. Sìyárà ọ̀fẹ́ lójoojúmọ́. Oúnjẹ àjẹdọ́wẹ́kẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta lójúmọ́. Tó fi mú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ètò tí ó mú ká ṣe àṣepé Hajj. A jẹ́ pé a máa ń fàkókò ṣòfò mọ́. Ẹ wá darapọ̀ mọ́ àwọn hujjah lọ́fíìsì Aljana Travel Hajj and Umrah Services, Navada Plaza, Elewure Bus Stop, opposite Liberty Stadium, Suite 140/142, Liberty Road, Ìbàdàn. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé 0904444945. Umrah oṣù kejìlá ọdún ìpẹ̀lú bàbá wa Alhaji Sheikh Muhyiddin Ajani Bello. O gbọ́dọ̀ gbẹ̀yìn bẹ́ẹ̀.
Tí 9 mobile network Naija gangan bá jẹ́ ayọ̀ rẹ̀, èrè ńlá ń dúró dè ọ́. Nígbàkúgbà tí o bá nílò dátà sí láti wo sinimá tàbí gba oríṣiríṣi àjàbalẹ̀ eré ìdárayá, 9 mobile wà fún ọ. Pẹ̀lú 1,500 naira péré, wàá jẹ ìgbádùn 8 gigabyte látọ̀dọ̀ 9 mobile. O tún lè fi 9.5 gigabyte ṣe ìfàjẹ pẹ̀lú 2,000 naira péré àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Darapọ̀ mọ́ 9 mobile lónìí tàbí kí o tẹ *301# láti yan dátà olówó pọ́kú tí ó ṣe gbẹ́kẹ̀lé. 9 mobile wà níbí fún ọ, wà níbí fún Naija.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
It's great to have you back with us. 32 FM 94.9, 40 minutes to 7 o'clock. We're delving into the analysis on the papers review this morning. My name is Kenny Durotilu.
And my name is DENIKE Adimwago. And Professor Oluwajedukun joins us this morning for the analysis. Good morning, Prof.
Top of the day to you.
All right, we'll start off with this story. Nigeria lost 2.9 trillion naira to contracts procurement fraud within 2 years. That's according to the chairman of the EFCC, Ola Olukoyede. He said that Nigerian taxpayers lost 2.9 trillion in just 2 years. That's between 2018 to 2020 to contract and procurement frauds alone. And he also was, so this was when he was responding to the senators during a screening and confirmation. Now, the constant mismanagement of funds, and we're always borrowing to survive in this nation. With all of this, how do we look inward to recover? Because it seems like if we could just recover some of these monies, then maybe we do not have to borrow at all. And would you say talk is cheap? You know, get to work instead of talking about it.
Well, obviously, he has to justify in the confirmation hearing why he should be considered and why he should be in the position. But I think it's rather unfortunate. Unfortunate because under Madam Due Process, that was Ezekiel early when she was minister, we put up new laws, procurement laws. In other words, those procurement laws were supposed to be foolproof so that when you entered into contract, the government entered into contract with parties, public funds were protected. But what this has proven is that those laws in itself haven't, spared us, haven't saved us in any way. You made a salient point, and the salient point is that should we not be looking at ways to recover? I think so. I think we are in a state of emergency when you have 2 trillion or more, having been lost. And I think maybe emphasis should be on recovery rather than on punishment. What do I mean by that? We need to come to accommodation with some of these thieves, or some of these embezzlers or who have mismanaged the fund, where they can give back most of the funds, maybe keep some for their legal troubles. But essentially, you understand, maybe an amnesty. I know some people would not like it, but the point of view is that they keep on getting away with it, and we keep on chasing them, and we keep on getting nothing. So why don't we set up a process where we get most of it back, they keep some of it, but at the end of the day, we have a clean slate. And we can have a judicial system that actually works for the future. If people say, no, you can't do that, I will ask, let them look in the direction of Emefiele, where we're looking at a situation where the government, you understand, whether it's confirmed or not, is negotiating with him, where he returns a substantial amount of the so-called, I use the word, loot. And then the man will be allowed, is resigned, of course, his CBN position, and then will be allowed to work somewhere. I don't know whether scot-free will be the word we apply. But we need an innovative solution to this. We can't keep on losing trillions and trillions of naira on a quarterly, annual, or whatever basis that it is.
All right, so let's talk politics now. Atiku has urged, some headlines say beg, but the thing here is we're hearing he has urged the Supreme Court to allow him present fresh evidence to back his claim that President Tinubu forged documents he submitted to INEC. Now, in his response on the point of law, Atiku urged the court to jettison technicality and grant his application. What do you see playing out here when you start to have to make pleas to the court to accept new evidence? Is it looking good for Atiku?
Well, that's the normal legal process where you go under Order 2 of the Supreme Court rules, where you think there's substantial new or compelling evidence which the Supreme Court should have within its purview. So that's normal legal gymnastics, a legal process. But having said that, on this Supreme Court, with due respect to a learned Justice of the Supreme Court, we're not talking about Justice Kayode Esho. We're not talking about Nnamani. We're not talking about Nnamagu, Idigbe, Obaseki. Those are the giants of those days. Oputa, of course. And they were what we describe as positivist, if you might use that expression. They looked at the law as it ought to be, not as the law as it is. And I fear that if you look at the law as it is, that is when you allow the technicalities to take hold. But if they would go further and say, let us look at the law as it ought to be. In other words, what's the intention of the law when it was set up? Was it intended, you understand, to allow people, in quotes, you understand, who have done shenanigans with their documents to go scot-free because of technicalities or not? The other thing, again, is that the court itself cannot continue to give open-ended, access or avenues. Otherwise, the court will never move forward. The Supreme Court has so many cases, tons of cases, and so they need to be expeditious, and there needs to be a cut-off period for when you can submit some documents or not. It's the same thing. You might be the most brilliant person in the country. If you do not submit your JAM form on time, then you plead and say, oh, please, don't allow technicalities. Let me do this JAM since it's proven that I am the best in the country. Right. I think you'll be laughed out.
Okay, just quickly, let's have you tackle this one as well. INEC's credibility has been brought into question, if you like, as the number of cases, 94% post contested at the tribunal. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I think the facts speak for themselves. Res ipsa loquitur. In other words, we don't need to go outside this. It's quite clear that INEC is in a mess, you understand, in terms of credibility. And somebody needs to rebuild this. And I doubt whether the present chairman can rebuild this credibility. So I think there needs to be root and branch examination of the role of INEC. The laws have not helped us because even when the laws are passed, we are confused. Let me put one thing before you. We spent over 300 billion on getting new technology. And of course, INEC premised the elections on this, that new technology will be used. And when it got to it, you understand, we were told by the Court of Appeal, with due respect, that all that 300 billion was a waste of money, and that the law does not enable us to do electronic transmission and so on and so forth. So why waste 300 billion when we are still back to the same, almost the same old way, except for accreditation, the way we do things? So that's part of the issue. We are not even being helped in terms of the fact that INEC spent a lot of money on something which legally, if it goes by the appeal court, could not be enforced. So that's part of the credibility. So it's not just about madaru, to use the Yoruba word, you understand, or shenanigans. It's also part of the fact that the laws itself, the schizophrenic nature of the laws, is not helping INEC. So there are two aspects. There's the personnel, there's the laws, and of course there's the interpretation.
Chinese government to fund complete Abuja Kano Port Harcourt Maiduguri railways. They're pledging more investment in the Nigeria's power sector. Some Nigerians are asking questions like, at what cost? What's the catch? What kind of expenses will be incurred? And how does it affect us long term?
Well, when we talk about investments, we are borrowing money from them, aren't we? And it's really in the interest of the Chinese because obviously they have Nigeria in hawk. What do I mean by that? If you, for instance, are a benefactor to someone, you're lending them huge sums of money, then that person is bound to follow you. That person is bound to follow your lead. So I think, yes, Nigeria needs investment in our infrastructure. We need to sort it out so that the economy will grow. But at what cost? You have asked it. The costs to Nigerians are enormous. And when we are not cutting our coats according to our size or sizes, as the case might be, then it means that the cost is going to be even much more. I would counsel that the government be very careful. Yes, find a way to fund the infrastructure. But are there other alternatives other than being in hock to the Chinese? Some people will say there's no choice. I disagree.
All right, now, Minister of Finance, the former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, has said that the African countries are often in debt distress because they fail to cut social spending. She says the countries in debt distress are often reluctant to admit it due to the need to, to cut social spending, especially the democratic ones. Social spending here, of course, has to do with things like welfare payments, pensions, and all of that. What do you say to this? Cut back on spending, social spending. Is that the way out, especially as for most of these things, the masses don't seem to feel the impact of these things?
I don't agree with the premise of our statement, but I would ask the question to Kemi Adeosun, then how much social spending was cut when she was Minister of Finance. So it's always all right to, when you've left the office, to have bias remorse or some remorse of some sort. But I don't think social spending is our problem here. Of course, most of the social spending, we don't know where it ends up. But I think it's the recurrent expenditure, which has to do with the state, with the cost of governance. I think there's so much frivolous expenses, cars for members of the House of Reps, members of the Senate, jeeps rather, as the case might be. extravagant governance, extravagant in terms of expenses and so on and so forth. I think that's another area that needs to be looked at. I think social spending can be good if it's targeted correctly. For instance, if social spending allows employers to employ 2 or 3 extra because of government subsidy, then of course that aids the economy. But social spending that just goes into the belly or goes to the hands of the contractor, and the contractor gobs most of them, of course that we have a problem with that.
A story out of the Punch newspaper says Tinubu okays staggered start of 6 varsities approved by Buhari. And it says here that 6 out of the 14 public universities established in the twilight of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. And they also said it involves 2 colleges of agriculture, education, and medicine each, and it's strategic to the skill empowerment goals of the Tinubu-led administration. What happens to the others that lacks funding? We have universities that lack, even as a matter of fact, the number one or the leading university in Nigeria is not even a public university or a state university, and they are establishing more universities. What's the goal here, and does this in any way actually empower or whatever it is?
I think it's criminal. I think it's criminal when you don't fund your own existing universities and you're looking to establish more, whether you call it phased or not. I know of a particular university. Some may call it the premier university in the country. And I know that they cannot even provide electricity on a sustained basis, that they face electricity. I'm not talking about the IBDC not supplying. I'm saying IBDC supplies and they have to face the electricity because they cannot afford it. And now what is the government doing? The government is now going to create more universities. Well, it was Buhari that did it, but this government is following that same trend and facing them in. My view is scrap those universities, concentrate on the ones that you have, you understand, and ensure the ones you have are fully funded, fully equipped, and are hubs of innovation, hubs of enterprise. That's what we should be doing. So I don't agree with the phasing. Of course, the phasing is because they don't have the funding to do it, from that point of view. But private universities are already filling the gap. So we don't need more federal universities or more state universities. What they should do, if they feel we need more skill acquisition or whatever it is, then collaborate with many of these private universities. Collaborate in terms of funding, collaborate in terms of research, you understand? And of course, since private universities make money, maybe the government too will make some money in terms of the collaboration too.
All right, quickly before we go on a commercial break, let's talk about the situation with the courts in Niger State. We hear the Chief Judge of State has said activities of bandits have forced 4 magistrate courts and 11 Sharia courts to shut down. How do judges uphold the rule of law, especially knowing that their lives are at risk when you have a situation where, someone was actually killed? I believe the registrar of the Sharia court was gruesomely murdered by bandits. Here, what's your reaction to that?
Well, that's a failed state, isn't it? A situation where judges cannot sit because of fear of their lives, you understand? Then you can't have the rule of law, and then you have a failed state. It's as if governance has broken down in those parts. And of course, it's an indictment, on the structure that we have, from that point of view. So, yes, I think the government needs to do something about it. But people are not going to go to court if their lives are at risk. They're going to secure their lives in the first instance. A very messy situation, but it speaks to the fact that the government needs to do more in terms of the structural security, the structure of the security that we have. Sorry case, but government needs to do more.
All right, we have to go on a break now. When we return, we'll open the phone lines to take your reactions. Stay with us.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
tí 9 mobile network naija gangan bá jẹ́ ayọ̀ rẹ̀ èrè ńlá ń dúró dè ọ́ nígbàkúgbà tí o bá nílò dátà sí láti wo sinimá tàbí gba oríṣiríṣi àjàbalẹ̀ eré ìdárayá 9 mobile wà fún ọ pẹ̀lú 1,500 naira péré wàá jẹ ìgbádùn 8 gigabyte látọ̀dọ̀ 9 mobile o tún lè fi 9.5 gigabyte ṣe ìfàjẹ pẹ̀lú 2,000 naira péré àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ 9 mobile lónìí tàbí kí o tẹ star 301 hash láti yan dátà olówó pọ́kú tí o ṣe gbẹ́kẹ̀lé 9 mobile wà níbí fún ọ wà níbí fún Naija.
Attention small and medium business owners. Are you ready to shine? The Fuse Festival by Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers is the place to be on December 23, 2023 at the Life Sport Entertainment in Lekki. Join us to showcase your incredible products and services to a diverse and enthusiastic audience. Whether you're in food, fashion, art, beauty, or any other fabulous category, your business is welcome. Register for free on the Stanbic IBTC Event app on Google or iOS stores. Registration closes on the 31st of October 2023. So hurry and register today. The Fuse Festival is brought to you by Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers. See you there.
ogun àtọ́pẹ́ kó máa jẹ́ tolúwa lórí òkè ìyanu ìlara ẹ̀pẹ́ ọdọọdún ni annual marathon miracle festival programs máa ń wáyé ọjọ́ mẹ́ta gbáko pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan ètò lórí òkè ìyanu ìlara ẹ̀pẹ́ láti gbólúwaga àkòrí glory to glory 2023 lábẹ́ àkóso bishop and prophetess lucas tolúwandò ní sáwa 25 26 27 october 2023 lọ́jọ́ àkọ́kọ́ ẹ pàdé prophet sam ojo prophet fẹ́mi òní prophet taiwo ojo níbi tí àdúrà túnde yóò ti máa rọ̀jò wọ̀wọ̀ mẹ́wàá àrọ̀dàgọ́ mẹ́wàá alẹ́ lọ́jọ́ kejì evangelist tọ́pẹ́ àlàbí evangelist ebenezer obe pastor adélakùn ayẹwa Dare Melody Chigozi Wisdom Adegbodu Twin Dare Justify Remilekun Amos Elijah Akíntúndé Ọlọ́run ò sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ aago mẹ́wàá àròsọ aago mẹ́wàá alẹ́ mọ́jọ́ kẹta àṣekágbá ló gbé gbogbo ẹ̀rù October 28 2023 Rose Love Foundation Empowerment 2023 níbi tí gbogbo ẹni tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó fún ti gba òbítíbitì ẹ̀bùn pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan olórin ẹ̀mí ọ̀rọ̀ tìǹlẹ́nu Lanre Da Silva àti Dr. Ọlọ́ládé Valentine Màmá Olúṣọlá Ọbaṣálá alága
telephone 07059458718.
ìpàdé di Mountain of Miracle ìlara ẹ̀pẹ́ àmọ́ retí yín o olùgbàlejò àgbà Bishop and Prophetess Lucas.
mọ́mì wa ṣèbẹ̀ mọ̀ wípé mílíkì ń bẹ nínú mílò Milo Active Go tí àwọn ọmọdé fẹ́ràn gan ń fún wọn ní ìdá 15 káṣíọ̀mù tí wọ́n nílò lójoojúmọ́. káṣíọ̀mù ń jẹ́ kí egbò àwọn ọmọ le ó sì ń ṣe wọ́n láàyè àǹfààní mìíràn. Milo okun láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo. I'm living the life cause I get this
Hey, kọ́ńbù ẹ̀kú àlejò imú gbòǹgbò ọ̀nà ẹ̀kú àlejò ẹsẹ̀ Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ẹ̀kú àmójúbà Tizeti Network Limited pẹ̀lú Tizeti ìlò omi òjò lẹ́ẹ̀ máa lo ayélujára íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì ní yàwàlù torí pé gbajúgbajà nílé iṣẹ́ Tizeti Network Limited nídìí ìpèsè ayélujára lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà fún ilé iṣẹ́ ńláńlá àti olókoòwò kéékèèké lábẹ́ àbúradà Tizeti ẹ lè browse kẹ́ stream kẹ́ sì tún gbá géèmù bó ṣe wù yín láì níkọ̀sẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìlànà ẹgbẹ̀lẹ́mùkú data kèé máa ṣeré ìwọ ni kò má sọ̀fànù 12,500 naira pé lẹ́ẹ̀fì jẹ mùlá data fódìdí oṣù kan gbáko lábẹ́ àbúradà Tizeti láì níkọ̀sẹ̀ ẹ kàn sí wifi.com.ng/oyo ẹ sì lè pe 0122987886 tàbí kẹ́ ẹ tẹ àtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ sí internet@wifi.com.ng ayélujára ní yàwàlù.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
All right, and we open the phone lines 0705 5000 949 and 0809 7000 to, of course, react to the stories. We're also live on Facebook. It's 32FM 949 Ibadan, as well as YouTube. You want to like and share our video. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm John News on Deco. Thank you, Professor. Concerning article, yes, sir, that 2 of the Supreme Court allows you to come up with anything. But the same Supreme Court will quote the Constitution and overrule the event, and sometimes I say justice is the stomach of the judge. And you are a lawyer. You see, Justice Stephen Ada, a member of the Presidential Election Tribunal, at about 6:32 p.m. on that day, I monitored everything. He said, and I quote, the duty of the judge is to deal with the law, not that it ought to be, but as it is. And the court finally, through most of the demands of the complainant, on the ground of time span, lack of merit, and incompetence, where the lives of Justice Kayode Shonamani and Agobi obey and the Caribbean wife, they are hard to see. John News on Jock with my name. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. 0705 5000 949 0829 7000 949. The numbers to share your reactions with us on the Papers Review. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. DENIKE. Good morning, Prof. Good morning. Please, okay. Prof, DENIKE, you said something about courts in Niger State or so. You begin to wonder why non-state actors are actually dictating more than even the state actors in those. They are holding us to ransom. Then I ask a question, Prof, why is it that politicians see us now, Nigerians, as a conquered species, a set of people that they have conquered, and they just tell us they do what they want without us questioning. How do we get them now to account for this? Because I've been reviewing all these rules. They see us as a conquered species. That's why they say anything, they do anything, knowing that you and I will not really do anything about it. Good morning.
All right, thank you. Okay. 0705 5949 0809 7000 949.
Some comments from Facebook. Tolokademi says, good morning. We don't need any soothsayer to tell us that President Tinubu misfired by removing subsidy without putting in place meaningful measures that would cushion its effect before doing so. And that is why price of goods and commodities have skyrocketed due to high inflation rates. Business operational costs have soared and many businesses have collapsed, thereby increasing the rate of unemployment in the country. Okay, remember, Batune says, good day, dear friends. Hopefully, Nigerians in Palestine and Israel were already evacuated back home or to neighboring countries. We don't want stories. That's a particular angle that we're not exactly hearing much of. What is going on with Nigerians in these parts?
Well, they say Nigerians are everywhere, and if there's a place where there are no Nigerians, then you must run and flee. Yes, I'm not sure that they're in their significant numbers, and if they were there, the government is not telling us much at this time. But I think most people have tried to make some evacuation or some put some process in place.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Okay, lost that one. Do try and call back. 0705 5949 0829 7000 949. For our international audiences, 0906 2000 949.
Miriam Yetunde on Facebook says, good morning. The current administration at the center made a rash decision by removing subsidy because the removal has not only affected the prices of commodities but has also affected cost of production, which may even lead to folding up of some of these companies and at the end adding to unemployment rate. This is a signal that they lack all what's needed to govern. Timothy Okorie says, good morning. Do the poorest of the poor have phone numbers? How can Tinubu transfer money to this kind of people? All right, what about the poor? Has anyone heard from the poorest of the poor who has received this benefit from inception, from Buhari's time till now? Is that not a scam, my people? 0705 5000 949 and 0809 7000 949.
All right, Prof, let's get your reaction to how the distribution of palliatives and what have you is going on right now. What do you make of the process thus far?
Well, my own view is that I think that the majority of the palliatives, the intention of the government is misplaced. Why am I saying that? We're looking at palliatives 2 to 3 months, which people will benefit from, but in the long term, people are not going to benefit from them. What do I mean? What I mean is that I would have thought that rather than invest so much in these conditional transfers and palliatives, the government would have invested in supporting small businesses, allowing them to employ people, subsidizing their wage bills for a period of time, so that more people in employment, therefore they have more money flowing into the economy and inflating the economy. The palliatives is short-sighted. We need longer-term palliatives like government subsidies for small businesses.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is John Olaruwa calling from Majuo.
All right, please go on.
In a state like Niger State, that we have a state actor that cannot even order or make any authority to stop the non-state actor. And non-state actor now taking over the state to the extent that the judges cannot even go to the court anymore. Which kind of country is this? This is so embarrassing. And the state actor needs to rise up to this occasion and do something urgent, because it's going to be difficult for the people to take the justice. Like some people that are supposed to take into the court now, they won't be able to go there and they will be in the prison for many years, which is not supposed to be. Thank you and good morning.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Oladiji is my name.
All right.
So I just want to thank your analyst. And if you look at the way your today analyst is doing his analysis, to be honest with you, it shows that he's giving us a solution idea to the government, not condemnations or antagonize. We should be more proactive than reactive. So thank you. About the subsidy analysis that your analyst just say, I will also support that. Let them invest more on the small scale business so that the people will get work to do. Instead of sharing this 25,000 that may likely not get it to some of us that we are calling or people that are listening to us. So to me, kudos to your decision, and please, we are looking towards to that. Let's be giving the people the solution rather than condemnation because of the political affiliations or tribe or personal hatred or emotion. Thank you very much. Taiwo Oladipo is my name.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Lafon,
all right.
Federal government want to distribute more than 1 trillion naira for palliative. Then how much is the subsidy they remove? Thank you.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Sulaiman Sharif calling from Manara. More divine grace to the prof in the studio. So you really spoke well and the bitter truth to the federal government of today. Because giving money to the people, you can't take them out of the poverty. That's the past mistake that the former President Buhari did by doing the trader money can transfer. This certain of trillion, they're supposed to invest it in critical development infrastructure that bring the life of Nigeria in a positive way that show the positive results. But given that money, you are roaming within a circle without any fruitful results. Because we lack data-driven policy in this country. Because those politicians, we hijack it from them to put our government to think deeply. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Sorry to call back in Channel Live.
Okay, quickly.
I think on the issue of subsidy, like I used to say, the solution is for the Mr. President sit with cabinet meeting to resolve this. What do they need to bring the subsidy back, no matter how much you spend on the people?
All right, that call is bad. We have to cut you short there. Prof, before we go, any thoughts, any reactions to some of the comments you've heard?
No, I'm happy that a lot of people are seeing the fact that we need to think long term about addressing poverty. And we should not just be, putting plaster on many of the wounds that are there that exist. I hope the government will listen to us. I hope the government will hear us. And I hope the government will come around to us.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Luo Jerukun, for joining us this morning. Thank you. It's time to go down. My name is Kenny Durutilu. Good morning.
And my name is Adenike Adimwagun. Coming up next is the Smart Kids Show.